Greetings and salutations, my beautiful people, and welcome back to a much more zoomed in and new house edition of Caddy's Retrospectives, which is the show on my channel where I usually spend 3 consecutive weeks discussing the history and facts and sharing my personal experiences with the first 3 of any video game franchise at all on any system from any generation. But yet again, I'm going to be doing some work with Did You Know Gaming on his channel with Fallout Easter egg hunting from Fallout 1, 2, 3, and New Vegas, I believe. But have no fear, I'll make announcement videos on this channel every time they go up, and you'll still have Caddy's Retrospectives episodes every 2 weeks. And that's actually a good thing, because this particular series is going to take me a little bit longer to script, since for the first time in Caddy's history will be Retrospectives. That didn't sound right. That I'll be jumping straight into a more recent last generation trilogy. Oh yeah, and these scripts tend to be a little bit longer, as I learned from Max Payne 3. So, what better way to start that off, and to commemorate the excellent PS4 remasters, by tackling Uncharted. Let me answer my own question. There is no better way! Well, obviously that, but also because today, the 8th of November, is a very special day, because it's my girlfriend's birthday today. Happy frickin' birthday to Caddicarus McKay. I love you so much, and I know that you love Uncharted, and I know that you love to sit down and watch it and fall asleep to it. That's how we know that you like something, when you fall asleep to it. Because you're enjoying it so much and you get very comfortable. So, this is why I decided to do Uncharted starting on the 8th of November. For you, Caddicarus. This is why I decided to do it, because I know you love Uncharted, and I know you find Nate Drake hilarious. I don't know what's so funny about Nate Drake myself, but there you go. Uncharted, one of my favourite series of games ever made, and the first PS3 game I ever saw and played next to the first Assassin's Creed. But hey, I say more ass in your creed. You know what I'm saying? I connected more with Uncharted on like every other level that AC failed at, and looking back, I'm not too sure why that is. I mean, I actually found the concept of Assassin's Creed much more interesting, and at the time as a little old 13-year-old, Uncharted did nothing for me. The concept, the characters, the fact that I loved Tomb Raider and I looked at this as a simple, more linear version of it, and the fact I tried it out and got stuck at this fucking bit. Nate, why won't you jump for your love? If anything, the main thing that crept into my mind when getting my first PS3 and looking for a game to play were those fucking visuals and animations. This isn't the time to talk about them in depth, but ever since then, specifically in about late 2008 or early 2009 is when I remembered them and decided to pick up Uncharted and give it another go. The tech alone blew my mind enough to get me to give it another shot. Then I realised how stupid I was for missing out on everything, and I was hooked on it ever since. And the tech maybe was the correct thing to be so impressed with and have lodged into my brain, because jumping from PS2 to PS3, Naughty Dog made sure they wanted to do that with a bang. After finishing off Jak 3, Naughty Dog wanted to work on another game almost immediately, under the codename of Big. That would have been an interesting game, I'm sure. And they wanted to start work on an entirely new IP rather than another Jak and Daxter, because, I mean, you stapled Crash as a PS1 mascot and then Jak as a PS2 mascot, so why? And the other reason was so that they could utilize the PS3 tech to create a more realistic human vision, unrestricted from the cartoonish and stylized ones of days gone by due to hardware limitations. In order to fully invest in this proper bang of a game, Naughty Dog searched for inspiration from action and adventure movies, magazines, and serials, with more prominent inspirations being Indiana Jones and National Treasure, since they were very fond of the glorified, exaggerated, and romanticized mystery and exciting adventure tropes that characterize those styles of media. And they thought it would work best to not only kick off a new IP, but work their realistic visions and tech expansions to the max. They also not only wanted the focus on characters, plot, and gameplay to be crucial, but also the environment itself, to encourage exploration, increase player memories and immersion, and blow people out of the water with how rich, vibrant, and luscious they could make them look and stand out amongst the browns, beiges, and greys often seen in the blockbuster games at the time. Naughty Dog even made a joke about that within the bonus filter unlock known as Next Gen, making everything dark brown and very hard to see. Very funny, guys. However, when showing off this new IP for the first time, response wasn't quite what they hoped. Of course, at the E3 2006 reveal, immediate criticism was struck at the similarities, if not limited design, compared to Tomb Raider, gaining Uncharted the unofficial nickname of Dude Raider. Which honestly just sounds like a really bad gay porno. And I don't blame people for thinking that, really. I mean, the game is more linear, not exactly original in any sense, and from first glance, it's about an attractive man saving a pretty blonde lady. It all seemed a bit too cliché for a company best known for obscure shit, but they stuck by it, claiming their deeper characters, combat orientation, and faster pace would stand above the slower, more puzzle-based and explorative Tomb Raider. And then, after 3 years total of development, Uncharted Drake's Fortune was released in November 19th, 2007 for North America. So anyway, since this series series isn't actually that old at all, with the 4th installment coming out very soon even, this video won't be packed with nostalgic memories or personal experiences or anything crazy like that, like I could do with my other retrospective videos, purely because I started playing Uncharted when I started playing lots more games in smaller play sessions to compensate for spending lots of time as a kid on one particular game, because obviously you have no money and you can only play what your parents have and blah 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 blah. Also, I was a kid, and as a kid you have all the time in the world to play the same thing that you love over and over again until you've sucked it dry. So yes, apart from those few memories of being blown away by the tech the first time I saw it and completely sucking at the platforming, Uncharted was just another great game series I got into. It wasn't a deep-rooted, beloved trilogy that I experienced at a very young age and can have much nostalgic connections to and stuff like that. So just be prepared for that. This will be the first time I'm actually doing this, you know what I mean. Anyway, enough jargon, because I guess you guys want to hear about the story. Don't you? Well, I do, and I wrote the script, so that's just how excited I am. So this game takes place in 2006, following the fun-filled life of Nathan Drake, a run-of-the-mill guy that believes himself to be a descendant of Sir Francis Drake, the famous explorer from the 1500s. Also, he says no a lot. One day, after getting some funding from a TV show, Nate searches off to find Drake's coffin buried at sea, with the hopes of proving that he faked his own death and locating some clue to the fabled city of gold, El Dorado. Joining him on this adventure is Eleanor Fisher, a small-time journalist documenting the events that follow and is part of the company that gave him the money to do this in the first place. And then they discover that both the body isn't there and a lost diary has been left pointing to El Dorado. And this was very lucky, because just as they find these things, they get ambushed by pirates. Only to get saved by Victor Sullivan, Nate's best friend and almost father figure. Get used to these shenanigans, it happens a lot. So with that, those three start their quest, only to get ambushed multiple times by Gabriel Roman, a treasure hunter who we assume Sully is in debt with, who takes things way too seriously by hiring mercenaries to annihilate anyone who dares look for El Dorado, and even the leader of the pirates from the beginning, Eddie Raja, one of Nate's oldest rivals. And through many other trials and tribulations similar to this, Eleanor tries to get her best story yet, Nate tries to find the treasure and stay alive against impossible odds, and Sully tries to not run out of breath because, I mean, fuck me, he's an old man, bless him.
Fun fact. Did you know that at the start of the game, Nate and Elena wear wetsuits made by the fictional company Ottsel, which is actually a reference both to Jack and Daxter because of the Otter-Weasel hybrid Daxter turns into in the first game, and Crash Bandicoot because of the publishers wanting to change his name to Ozzy Ottsel early in development. I guess this must mean that the Ottsel company is one that no one fucking likes.
Is this story very interesting, all things considered? Well, in my opinion, not really. I mean, the main chunk of the quest and the story, finding El Dorado, is the best bit, but everything else that happens around it is just so disjointed and slightly uncomfortable. Like, it's just not quite confident. It is, obviously it's the first game, it's a new IP, they're not quite going all out there yet, and it does definitely feel like that. I mean, every time I replay this game, I don't remember who the villains are, what their names are, what they're doing, or anything, and it does get a little bit too cliched for its own good sometimes. The villains, my god, they were awful, which is a shame since the voice acting is top notch, but they were just evil because they're evil, and video games for some reason need a bad guy because they do apparently, but let's also throw another in for no reason. Don't misunderstand though, the thing is, despite many of the elements around the main chunk of the story not living up to anything as far as I'm concerned, the things that put it all through are the voice performances. Yes, even through the bland and forgettable villains, the voice acting was some of the absolute best at the time and still holds up great today. Nate's calm, controlled, intelligent yet nervous and everyman demeanor was captured perfectly by Nolan North. Sully's charmingly perverted, cocky, greedy yet very loyal and extremely witty antics by Richard McGonagall made him one of the most lovably hilarious characters in the last decade, and Emily Rose throwing her independent and confident streaks in to make Eleanor a determined warrior and more than just a damsel in distress rounded it all off, even if I always found this scene where she's perfectly happy to die for her news story a little uncomfortably out of character.
Maybe you hadn't noticed, but we're kind of outnumbered.
We're doing fine so far. Oh, please. You quit if you want to, but don't use me as an excuse. So that's it. You're just gonna forget about the treasure and forget about Drake?
God damn it, this is not worth dying over.
Okay.
This triangle of awesome characters and awesome performances is what pulls the entire plot through all of its lamer sequences. It makes every cutscene and dialogue exchange enjoyable, and every chase sequence, despite being a bit bland with how they happen, exciting and immersive with how they all react to them. And despite the dodgy writing in odd places, it's genuine, it's believable, and it's so well done that it made the plot. But that wasn't all that made this game feel like the proper, action-packed, interactive summer blockbuster it was trying to be, because the unbelievably high production values also shone through in the presentation department. I've talked about the brilliant voice performances, but what about everything else? Well, not only is the music dynamic with events and real-time actions within the game, much like Tomb Raider actually, and not only is it memorable and perfectly matched with the environment via leitmotif, like using lots of percussion and woodwind instruments to coexist with the dense wooden forests and stony temples, but also that main theme. And do I need to say much about these visuals? Yes, they were the only thing that stuck in my mind the first time I saw this game, and the main reason I decided to give Uncharted another try. And honestly, the staple of Naughty Dog quality is all over this, but I never expected a game from 2007 to hold up this magnificently. Look at it all, it's gorgeous, and the fact that following titles only looked better as they got on made me extremely excited to revisit these games again. It truly made this game feel like the gaming summer blockbuster at the time, like God of War and Gears of War and stuff like that. It's got that kind of vibe to it, but with a much more interesting array of environments and areas to explore.
Fun fact. Did you know that since jumping from PS2 to PS3, Naughty Dog had to deal through many development issues and mistakes? For instance, not only did they work with motion capture for every little motion within the game, such as grenade throwing, and not only did they work with brand new lighting effects, dynamic real-time shadows, and advanced water simulation, and not only did they switch coding languages for the first time ever to C++, but 10 months into production, they decided to completely recreate the game's pipeline, which is the chain of processing elements designed to move data through the system. I know it sounds complicated, and you're right, it is. Basically, they fucked up lots and then they fixed it. Yay!
I will say though, for how good the majority of the game looked, one thing that hasn't held up too well, some of the animations were a little stiff and rubbery, and oftentimes the facial animations were far too cartoony and ridiculous for its own good. In some scenes, the characters' eyes even glisten like diamonds. What is this? Despite this though, along with the voice acting, the designs of the characters' environment really stuck out to me personally. A lot of care went into not only making the stages some of the most organic in gaming history at that point, but also the character designs matched both the voice performances and behavioral concepts. Nate looked like the perfect everyman with average clothing and a constant rugged and dirty look, never over-equipped, never heavily armored, just a treasure hunter. And all the details like Nate talking to himself, calming himself down, scared shitless when being gunned down by impossible odds, and looking at the pure worry on his face made all of that much more special. And the same applies to everyone else.
But what is this? But what is this? Is it a video game? Or is it a Transformers movie with a shield up with the diamonds in his eyes? It was a game, so how did...
Where everything else in Uncharted has a lot of deep things to discuss, unfortunately the gameplay didn't actually offer that much crazily crazy. Instead of Tomb Raider's many open areas, non-linear design, increased survival aspects, many puzzles that actually made you feel like you were raiding an unexplored tomb, Uncharted instead opted out of the satisfying discovery and heavy puzzle aspects, then aimed for, much like Crash Bandicoot, a straightforward and linear experience. A really good one though, much like the summer action and adventure blockbuster vibe it was going for, easy to pick up, play, and love. It was a combination of much more interesting, dynamic, and challenging third-person cover-based gunplay, unlike Tomb Raider's chaotic on-the-fly auto-aiming system, and platforming, allowing Drake to swim, jump, hang, grab, shimmy along ledges, swing, basically do everything you've ever seen in a movie like this, and that's honestly it. Well, with the occasional very fun and tricky vehicle section to give it that extra Indiana Jones teat. Any puzzles were practically solved for you, they were so easy, but still fun to solve, and the shooting was definitely the strongest point. Since Drake was indeed an everyman, he wasn't equipped to hell. He could grab ammo and weapons literally from anybody and anywhere, but only could carry a pocket one and a shoulder one to use at his leisure at a time, and only 4 grenades at that time. Due to this system, it made every gun battle sequence fantastic fun, because not only did you have to move away from certain covers because enemies would try cornering you from all angles, and not only were some covers weak to gunfire and broke after some time, and not only did you have no choice but to run away from enemy grenades to other vantage points, but also, and this is what I've always loved about limited gun inventory like in Bioshock Infinite, the game forced you into uncomfortable situations and made you work with what you had. It required you to learn the ins and outs of any weapon since you could be stuck with it in the future, and it made every firefight more intense and rewarding as a result, and made the acquisition of a revolver or a sniper rifle that much more incredible of a feeling, along with the constant darting in between cover spots. And where the standard stuff added in to make these sections less monotonous, like aggressive shotgunners, annoying grenade and rocket launchers, and guys with laser sights and much more were pretty uninspired, it did help with the monotony and keep things fresh. Being a treasure hunter though, Nate could also find dozens of treasures scattered throughout the game. It encouraged exploration and it felt great to catch a shining object in the corner of your eye to then go over and yank it up. but unless you were interested in concept art, behind the scenes videos and trophies, they honestly didn't add that much to the depth of the experience at all. They were pretty much just there if you wanted them, nothing less, nothing more, and it broke up the linearity slightly. But along with learning each weapon's strengths and weaknesses, accomplishing context-specific actions such as killing a number of enemies with a certain gun, or getting a certain number of headshots, etc., you could unlock in-game bonuses as well as PS trophies, such as unlimited ammo on certain guns, or extra skins like Donut Drake, I love this skin, and extra stuff like that, a very cool bonus. I also found the idea of making the health system turn the screen black and white nearer to death very cool. I mean, I know it wasn't a new idea at all, but seeing the beautiful earthy world fade slowly back into vibrant colors again provided a lovely contrast and a real sense of relief while surviving. Very subtle, but effective.
This though wasn't a game world famous for epic boss encounters. In fact, there's only one major one to talk about, and that's the final one, the only one. And it fucking sucked.
Who here wants a boss battle with a character nobody remembers, feels no vengeance or desire to put justice towards them, and throws you into an unexplained, unlike any other part of the game, quick action, less than a minute battle that fails you within seconds if you can't figure out what's going on or how to approach it? Not me, and not anybody sane! But for some reason, it's here. With no guns, Nate is forced to take cover from this guy, and unless you know to do that immediately, only move to each cover point after every 2 shots, otherwise you will die or the cover will get destroyed, and then after a quick time event, figure out to run yourself out of nowhere towards the gun that the enemy drops to get to him first, or else die and start again for no fucking reason other to annoy you, then you will hate this. And if you do know all of that beforehand, like I did, it's a boss that lasts no longer than 30 seconds and is far too easy and disappointing to end the game. Honestly, I still don't know who this twat is, and I don't know why this boss is so quick to punish you for literally milliseconds worth of errors. It's a sloppy end to the game that I felt should have been more fun and bombastic.
And is that the only problem with this game I have? No! If you've been listening to this video, you should know through all the other things I've mentioned that there are a lot of flaws or issues that I have with this game. But let's talk about some of the more prominent ones now.
Is it just me, or was this platforming sometimes very fucking stiff? Like unbelievably stiff? Like glitchy, nonsensical, and heavy half the time? Because I swear it was. I fell to my death more times than I can count because of Nate not registering a grab or completely missing a jump or a rope. And the melee combat, what was the point of this exactly? I mean, the mashing square combo worked, but it was more or less pointless because you'd be dead before even finishing off an enemy in the middle of a gunfight. Brutal combos were satisfying and gave you double ammo on the gun that the enemy was holding, but that happened so rarely it was, again, nearly pointless. Stealth attacks also did not work. I don't care what anybody says. If you were a fraction too early, everyone was alerted by a punching animation, and if you were a fraction too late, you touched the enemy and got spotted immediately. And hey, quick time events? No one likes you. Why are you even here? Not only are they in the final boss, but they're also peppered through random cutscenes at huge gaps and intervals, so you never see them coming. They aren't a common occurrence in the game, and so they really catch you off guard, forcing you to overly focus on every single cutscene just in case one pops up and kills you, forcing you to replay a portion of the game over again. Oh my god.
But unlike QuickTime events, does Uncharted Drake's Fortune hold up today? In my opinion, yes. It has dated in a few areas with the animations and the stiffness of some of it, and it has a lot of flaws, but it's a great first attempt at a brand new IP with brand new tech from a consistently very good game developer. It's experimental and it fails in a fair few places, and I personally wouldn't quite agree with the unbelievable critical acclaim this game got at the time. I didn't think it was that good, but it is still a great game and it's still a blast to play even today. It does feel like the first in the series. You just got to keep that in mind, and it just does feel like the first. It's enough for Naughty Dog to get comfortable with all the new tech they were working with to then work on something else.
And to sum up the plot, well, after Sully getting captured and deliberately throwing the bad guys on the wrong trail to El Dorado, and many other crazy classic Nathan Drake moments like this, it turns out they're not looking for a city of gold, but a golden statue itself. And upon finding Francis Drake's rotten corpse, they then discover that El Dorado was a cursed golden object said to turn those who sought after it and opened it into demons. And that is indeed true in one of the greatest and more memorable sequences in the game for how what the fuck and out of place it is from the light-hearted tone of the rest of the game. Nate must combat the Descendants, 400-year-old Spanish explorers in contest with Francis Drake all that time ago, who found El Dorado first, and Francis let his body stay there forever to warn people never to touch the treasure again. Sorry, before wrapping up, this bit is so cool. Dark underground vaults, broken lights, crazy rabid monsters jumping out everywhere. It's extremely fun. Anyway, the bad guys then try taking off with the statue with a helicopter, which Nate eventually stops by a kidnapped Elena kicking out one of the helicopter mercenaries, causing it to crash land onto a boat, and then after a lame final boss, the statue gets tangled around the baddie's legs, who then gets dragged down to the bottom of the Pacific Ocean with him forever. After Sully raids a few of the pirates' treasure and boarding on a speedboat to make them feel like they didn't leave empty-handed, and sexual tension being too high for the average person to absorb, everyone rides off into the sunset ready to find the next big thing. But Naughty Dog had actually already started planning a sequel story during the development of this game and conceptualized it right after the high praise of this one. So the question is, were they being too premature and cocky, or could they improve everything and strike utter gold by another installment?
Hey Caddy, what? Do you feel like watching anime today? No. Well, how about considering signing up to a completely free 30-day trial at crunchyroll.com? Crunky Goal? No. Gunky Troll? No. Grossy Knoll? You aren't even trying now. Oh wait, is this what happens when you leave a sausage roll in the fridge for 2 weeks? Yes, that kind of Crunchyroll. But you can't eat that? No. But you can literally watch countless and unlimited amounts of 1080p anime, both older and newer, only an hour after they air in Japan officially, on PCs, mobiles, tablets, and even a few consoles. Just head to the first line of the description and please click on the link crunchyroll.com/caddy for your exclusive free, absolutely free 30-day trial of this amazing service. And please have fun if you decide to click down there, sign up, and have a look through all of the stuff they have. There is so much stuff, hundreds of stuff. This is my treat to all of you, and thank you so much for watching this video. Thank you for listening as well.
Hello everyone, thanks so much for watching this video. Please go to the description to find my Games Grabber collection, where you can find what games I'm playing and buying and sticking on my shelves, and find all the equipment that I use for my videos and buy them all directly from the site. And also, here are some other retrospectives for you to click on and watch right this second. All my social medias are in the description as well, so please go and have a look. And until next time, if it's your birthday or watching this video, happy friggin' birthday to you. Please remember to stay beautiful.
So anyway, since this series isn't actually that old at all, but unlike QuickTime events. That's the wrong way around. So yes, apart from those few memories of being blown away by the tech the first time I saw it and completely sucking at the platforming when I played it for the first time, this video isn't going to have any of that stuff. I've already said that. I said that earlier. I said it earlier. Why am I saying it fucking again?